Hi, I'm Mike,
And I'm Sam.
and this is
Wise Words for Dodo Birds.
What's up, Dodo Birds? We are back with episode 6?
Yeah.
6. And today we are going to be talking about artificial intelligence. Is it coming for your jobs? Will it render you useless in the future? Or is it a very useful tool that we currently use a lot more than people realize?
Or will it kill us all?
Yeah. Will it replace your grandma by next Christmas?
Find out here on Wise Words for Dodo Birds.
All right.
I actually have no idea if it's going to take over. By next Christmas, actually, I have doubts.
Yeah.
I have
that's
actually
fair.
very, very strong, firm doubts that it will take our grandmothers by Christmas. However, the following Christmas, let's talk. Mike, what do you think?
I think it's little further than that. But yeah, I guess I'll preface a little bit. I've been interested in AI for a long time. I've been closely watching this industry since 2014. I read a book by Nick Bostrom called Superintelligence, and that kind of like for the first time like woke me up to like it was still all very much sci-fi then. But it's very, very real now. In fact, my sentiments in 2014 when I really got interested in the topic were that this was something when we were old, that this was something of sci-fi for a bit yet, but with the calculations at the time, they predicted that it would come a lot quicker, but it's here way faster at a higher level than projections by some of the leading industry experts have even participated or anticipated.
I have two questions about that. What about, because we've had AI technically for quite a while. You might even know more than me, but it goes back pretty far, like farther than people would probably think. Like
the first one was in 1950.
I was just about to say, even our trips to space have required the use of AI.
Yeah.
So I know it's been around a long time.
Yeah, so technically the first one was 1950, and it was an algorithm that was hooked up to like a remote control car to navigate a maze. And it was like the first time that a computer system was able to remember its past routes to some degree, you know. So it's been a field for a long time, but we've really made advances in the past 3 years.
That was the next sort of going to lead into my next question. So that's about how long it's been around.
Yeah.
And so when he said in his book, it came sooner than we were expecting.
Yeah.
He's talking about this last 3 years.
His projections, this book was written in like 2010. So like his projections that we wouldn't be this far in 2030.
Okay.
Or like 2025.
So AI is further now than he was expecting it to be by 2030.
It's further now than some of the leading experts predicted a decade ago.
Okay.
Yeah, that we're basically like a decade ahead of where pretty much anybody before the past 5 years would have projected.
Well, and for our Dodo Bird listener, I can vouch for that just from, around the time you and I started hanging out again. Like you were showing me the Chat GPT and just the things it can do. Tell me, I think you had it like write a Kanye song or something like that.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. I was like, whoa, wait, it can do that now?
So where do you want to start? We can start with some of the use cases that are already being used in your everyday devices. Some of the use cases that people don't think about is ran by AI. Or we could talk about ChatGPT as a company real quick, because
You could talk about ChatGPT because hear a lot about them, but don't actually know that much.
So ChatGPT has really pushed the envelope with AI systems in many ways. I've known about ChatGPT since 2.5, so like 5-6 years ago.
And when exactly did it come out?
I think it's been a company since 2013-ish. I could be wrong about that, but I know that it's been a while. It's been around for a while. The company that owns it is called OpenAI, and they just had a recent shakeup, a big shakeup. So they have had the same CEO, Sam Altman. He's a very rational...
OpenAI has?
Yeah. And so they own ChatGPT. They own image generation software called DALL-E and a few other assets that are big in the AI game. They're partnered with Microsoft. They're partnered with Photoshop. They're partnered with a billion companies.
So they pretty much have their pens dipped into a lot of ink.
They're the biggest players in the AI game, and that's not that's unquestionable. Okay. Market share, use case, pushing the technology. So Sam Altman has been the CEO for a long time, and he's somebody that is very much in the way of caution and using this thing responsibly and this and that. He's aware of the power, and just 3 weeks ago, he said that they think that they've basically achieved AGI in their labs, like internally, is what the quote was, that they have achieved AGI internally in rudimentary forms. I don't know if he was supposed to say that or not. This part is like me with a little bit of speculation.
He did say that, and so
he did say that.
What you're about to say is you speculating on that.
He was fired on Friday. This is brand new. Like, so he was fired. And
devil's advocate, maybe they fired him for lying.
Yeah, correct. Could be.
Doubtful, but
I actually don't know. It's pretty new. But he was fired. And it was out of left field.
No one.
It was a surprise to a lot of people. Microsoft's stock price went down substantially that day because of their partnership, and so now I can happily say that Sam Altman just signed this morning to Microsoft as the lead engineer on their AI project. So the company ChatGPT, OpenAI, they want to be a little bit more profit-driven. They want to be a little less on the research end. They want to be on the more use case end, get it into Google Docs, and it's already in these things. But that's scary because if they're just pushing out to go better and doing less research, like...
Yeah, I mean...
But that's an opinion. But anyway, like,
there will be money in that.
Now, what many people would say was like really the foundation of that company is now with Microsoft. That's awesome. Oh, and another, I forget his name, and his role, but apparently another big player in the company was let go the same day, and they both have jobs now.
Okay.
2-day turnaround. I mean, when you have... Yeah, I mean, he was one of the founders of the company, and they kicked him out.
So, I am very curious about that, whether or not, why they kicked him out.
Yeah, so the big players in the AI, I'm not sure. And it would be speculation to say it would be rumors, this and that, but I think it's interesting that we're about to watch, in one of the fastest shifting industries, we're about to see a big shift because Sam Altman might have some insights for Microsoft.
Oh, I'm sure he will.
Yeah, I'm sure he will.
My question, I guess, is that a good thing for sure? I mean...
Yes, I think so.
Because I don't know anything about it. Yeah. But, like,
having more competition.
AGI, right? That's artificial general intelligence. That's the. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, so he said 18 months could be a potential rollout of something like that.
He said they had one internally already, though?
Yeah, that they have achieved AGI internally.
And they'll be pushing it out?
Not pushing it out, but it could theoretically be rolled out in 18 months. They
rolled out in what, meaning what exactly?
It was a candid interview, you know?
Okay.
So, like, we don't know what that means. I don't know what that means.
Yeah. I guess I'm curious because, like, you know.
It's entirely speculation because AGI was fake a month ago. 3 weeks ago, this interview came out.
So fake meaning like science fiction?
Yeah. So the most common projection is, and Ray Kurzgesov, I can't pronounce Russian names that well, but many industry leaders, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, have all kind of agreed on 2029 that we would start seeing true AGI.
Doing what?
So a lot of menial jobs, like
because they already kind of do.
Yeah, they're assistants a lot currently, and maybe we'll talk about use case next. The use for AGI right away would be like some basic customer service jobs, a bank teller potentially. Just anything that is like a menial human task, like click this thing, you know, like rudimentary stuff it could theoretically replace, which is scary, but
I could see the bank teller thing for sure.
Yeah, many things like that.
And I could see there being problems with that, of course.
Sure.
That's actually not somewhere you want mistakes.
Yeah.
I actually have another question. I don't want to like throw off, where you were going, but like, so what about driving cars?
Yeah.
Because there's already a bit of that going on, and I personally...
So, September 23rd, ChatGPT just released GPT-4, which is their premium version. The public only has access to 3.5.
Okay.
So you pay for 4. They just released GPT Vision. And so now you can I could hold up a box and I could ask it what are the logos, this and that. Like I can hold up a picture and I could say, identify every living thing or like whatever, birds, anything. I don't know, anything.
Okay.
And so now AI is starting to pick up on the visual aspect of things. This is already rolled out. Like you can ask. So now it has input data from the real world. So driving cars, I think, is going to be one of the first rollouts of AGI. And I don't even think you need AGI to do it. So the difference is like now.
I don't think you do because they already have. It's not great.
So AGI is artificial general intelligence, and that just means that there is kind of a consciousness to some degree, that it has agency.
It basically means it can think for itself.
Yeah, it has agency and...
it's aware of itself.
Yeah.
I mean, what about, all the movies? It's like, what if these things hook up to the internet?
Well, for it to be AGI, it would have to be in real time. You can't be real and in a fake world, Like, it has to be able to make...
So they can't connect to the internet?
They would be able to.
They'd have to.
Okay. Yeah.
So
currently, that is one of the big differences between AGI and what we have now, which is ANI, Artificial Natural Intelligence. So it's using like human data and compiling things, but it's not hooked up to the internet. There's a 2-year lapse. So the most current information it has is from 2001.
Okay.
So AGI would have to be in real time, you know,
Yeah.
just like we are. Like,
Okay. See, is that okay though? Like, I guess it depends on how much control these things have over whatever they have control. You know what I mean? Like, it depends on what they can do.
realistically, it's hard to have a take on it. Like,
Because we
actually,
don't actually understand how it works.
it was science fiction not long ago.
Right. I mean,
like, if we zoom out 2 years, so GPT-4 rolled out maybe around April, and GPT-4 was way better than people thought it could be. GPT-3 has been around for, or 3.5 has been around for a year and a half or so. 3.5 was really when they started coming online. That's when I got, that's when I started noticing as well. Because I messed around with some of the rudimentary, like 2.5 and 3, and they were still clunky. You could talk to them, but they were, you know, it wasn't all the way there. But if
Right.
you use some of these tools now, they're
Getting better.
crazy.
Yeah.
GPT-4 is nuts. So we've seen such a ramp up, even in 2 years. Like, yeah, I'm curious to see 6 months from now, because I know my opinion's going to change entirely
I guess.
on what it looks like, because we've been theorizing for decades and decades and decades, and now it's like a possibility.
Right.
There is we could speak on the little bit of the.
Can they make decisions? I mean, I guess I don't know.
It would have to inherently. It would have to.
Based on what?
Its own agency.
See, because the
It depends
problem
on the
with these
programming.
things, the problem with these things, that I, devil's advocate. I think we might have talked a little bit about this already on like the first episode.
Yeah.
Is they can process information 1,000 times faster than any human brain, and so they'll become smarter than us pretty quick. Especially if we have more than one of them.
Right out of the
around.
gate, they're smarter than us. Yeah.
Yeah. Depends on how much information they have access to. And I really don't know
To
how.
be AGI, it would have to be like
Have
a person.
access to everything?
Like, we can get really close to artificial, like real artificial intelligence, but until it is like a thinking, reasoning, you know, like it has its own opinions, or like
I thought that's what AGI was.
that's what it would. Yeah. So all those things, that it would all be there, just like with you and I, that for it to be real.
Yeah.
It has to have all those things to check the boxes.
And it can only do that if it's hooked up to the internet and has access to everything on it.
Not only, but
So they can be disconnected from the internet and still exist.
I don't know.
No,
Yeah,
I'm asking questions.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. These are things I have not looked into.
So giving it internet access doesn't inherently mean bad either, you know, like, because obviously there's like the Age of Ultron type. We've all seen it, where, you know, Terminator, you know, we've all seen where.
Well, they learn. It's more about it learning things that it wants to learn rather than things we let it learn.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure that, because it's gonna view information in a much different way than because we take we learn it
much faster.
It might just know, instead of us learning. It might just know.
Right. Instead of it learning like we do, it just knows it.
It just knows it,
But
based on all the calculated
then it can make
data.
Here's the thing. Then it can make decisions based on what it learns, and it can do that 1,000 times faster than we can.
So we'll talk about use cases now. So if we really do achieve, let's say, I mean, even in the next 10 years, like, I mean, most projections are 29. So let's say we get it in 2029. What could it do for us then? I mean, it's already starting to do things that we thought we couldn't. One is translating old text from like Egyptians or like the Sumerians. Some of these dialects that we haven't worked out the full alphabet, it's gotten some like pretty like pleasing results. Like it's been able to like translate things that we couldn't figure out because it has access to a lot of ancient cultures, and maybe they had different ways of describing, like it was able.
It has access to all the information at once, as opposed to like, a half dozen people that only know so much about it.
Yeah, and another use case that it's being used for currently with the advancement of the GPT vision is you can now show it an X-ray, and it will tell you what's wrong. Like it can identify a stress fracture in like there was an example of somebody with their foot showed it an X-ray, and it could identify a stress fracture and obviously broken bones.
Okay.
And those are things that there's room for human error. That sounds great. Like, take the human error out of a job like that.
Yeah. But anything can, malfunction. Anything that's...
Not really. Like, because it's going based off of the data of all humankind, or up until 2021, or I mean 2021. So it would scan all models of stress fractures, and then it would also accompany that with the data. And this is what it does. I'm not saying it would. This is what it does. Like, then it compiles the characteristics of a fracture and stuff like that. There is a disclaimer saying that this is new technology and do not use this as your primary means, but it's a use case that's being developed.
But why would they put that on there? Because there's a chance of it.
No. It's not that they put that on there. It's that GPT now has eyesight. You can use. Think about any
new technology.
Yeah. With the addition of the vision aspect, the possibilities are endless now. That's just one use case. Think about a huge photo of people above Burning Man. Okay. Maybe there's anywhere from, if you had to guess, 1,700 to 3,700 people. Like something like that. You could identify. You could ask GPT to tell you the exact number. Like, where do you need to sit there and count that? But you would like to know, if you're a show promoter, you would like to know how many people were in the crowd, or, whatever.
Sure.
Like, and I'm just riffing on use cases. Like, and now that, because you ask it a question and you can prompt it, say, like, how many gallons of grape jelly would it take to fill the Grand Canyon?
Right.
Now you could be even more specific and say, like, fill this swimming pool based on a picture and this and that, and like, and the visual aspect was added the end of September. This is brand new.
Yeah.
It's never had. So there have been image generation AIs,
sure.
like your Mage Space, your Dolly. I forget the big one. Midjourney. So it's been able to compile all these photos and categorize images in a way. So like if you say, I want to generate a photo of a rubber ducky, right. It goes based off of rubber ducky photos, drawings, what that means, this and that. And so now that it has these tools that the image generation has been building, the data sets, now it's combined with GPT, with the logistical and thinking mind. And so now you can input photos and get data from them, which is huge in science too. Like, this could cut out hours and hours. And this is new tech. It's not being used on an industrial level yet, but that shit's coming, man. Like, it's getting so much better. It's honestly hard to express. It really is. Like, we're way further. For anybody who doesn't know, go to OpenAI. It's free. Get GPT 3.5 and have it write you a song or tell you a story. Ask it about the history of Norwegian princes, and you will be shocked by the results. Like,
yeah, well, and that's only getting better and better. Like,
it is. It's getting to like, we're in sci-fi realm. Like, I never thought that this would be possible.
Is it all good though? Like, is it all good? Because like, you know that this is going to get like, it's going to go from being like, it was all right, to like, oh, this is cool. This is amazing. Wow, look at the things it can do. And then like, not even in like, all right, let's go back from it's stealing your grandmother or it's going to kill us all, right?
Yeah.
Like putting like creative workers out of business and just artistic workers
not
in general.
Really.
Because like,
I have a hot take on that.
I'll say, because my understanding of it right now, as of right now, it can't do anything like that well enough. But if it's only going to get better and better, when does it get to the point where like, not only, it doesn't just take out the creative side of things, but like it just does everything, Yeah. Like maybe it doesn't kill us, but takes our jobs, I mean,
So I have a hot take. I don't know. I have
You think they can control it?
It's not about controlling it. I think that it's like...
I mean, it's about controlling how many things people use it for.
Or how they use it. Like, I don't think... Okay, so my opinion... We'll start on the art stuff. My opinion with that has been that if you're a good artist, use that as a tool. And that goes to the fundamental topic of this whole thing, is that, like, AI is an amazing tool. It really is. It's human intelligence on full display. Like, it's everything that we've worked up towards. Like, and so far. If you're worried about the fact that AI can make a watercolor portrait of a landscape that you want to do, use that as a basis. If you're a real artist, you should be able to cell shade that and be creative with it still. Like, use it as, like, or maybe it's a way that you generate ideas.
But what if people just don't care enough? You know what I mean? They're like, well, I could just get this one that was generated. I think it's already kind of like that.
In the field of art, it's subjective already. There are many YouTube creators that are using, I've showed you some of the voice cloning technology, and not for celebrities, but just for a person, like.
And you can use anybody that you have enough.
So many content creators are using that. When it comes to an essay video, or like a informational video, I still prefer a person. I can tell the difference.
Yeah.
It's getting better and better, but
for now.
Like, yeah, but
that's
like,
the thing. That's the thing.
Humans will always have a take that computers won't.
Well, and
comedy.
I think that's the big question. Is like, we can say that, but are we sure about that?
When AGI comes around, and
everyone's bitching and complaining about all the problems with it.
There could be a computer that is super into stand-up comedy and wants to be the best comedian. That could be a thing. You could have an AGI that wants to be the best
and I mean,
pianist.
Again, at the end of the day, none of this affects me, really. Like, I mean, I guess if it started driving cars, but even then, we already, at this point... It does
already.
I was going to say, it does already, and we know that doesn't work very well. Like, people would not rather
do
that.
Super well, first off.
Not really.
It actually does. Like,
I mean, yes,
the one news story that everybody got was like the one time that it had 3 crashes in one day. It's only
not
like,
even crashes. I've seen videos of these things just driving around the fucking block when they're supposed to stop, and they just keep going and going. They're not even like breaking any laws. They're just not doing what they're supposed to do.
yeah.
You know, again, right now I'm not worried about it, but as time goes on,
But you have to keep in mind too that every company is using their own software. There's not one standardized.
is that okay? Like, should that be okay?
Well, see, that's the thing is that like, so if their self-driving automation was done by GPT, now that it has GPT vision, it would probably work flawlessly. But that's not. They've developed their own in-house thing. It will be a matter of time before that's not really an option. It will be much cheaper to pay Microsoft or OpenAI to integrate your products with their company, instead of making your own in-house, because you're not going to keep up. One of the reasons that GPT has gotten so much better is that they've just increased the amount of computing power. So like they have like half a warehouse extra of computers and like storage, you know, spacing on the word, but anyway, servers, duh.
Servers, yeah.
Yeah. By just increasing server space, more computing power, it's gotten better. So, yeah. Eventually, like the big players in the game, if it comes down to computing power and storage and all that, they have more money to throw at the problem. So there won't be as many small AI projects, which is probably good.
Yeah.
Because the big companies are held to a much higher standard to do responsible things with them. If there were small companies, like if you open sourced ChatGPT, it could be used for very nefarious reasons.
Well, and see, that's the thing. When has humanity, historically speaking, ever like not done the worst thing with things, you know? Like this particular aspect, like I think we're fine for now. I do think the positives outweigh the negatives, but especially like you said, once people are able to make money off of it, and like before this thing's really ready to go, and maybe not everyone should have access to it.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, we can talk about some of like. Okay, so there is a big proponent. There's a fella, Eliezer Yudkowsky. He has been an AI researcher since the 80s, like mid-80s, and he has been basically the only person in the Department of Safety and ethics and moral code.
Yeah.
He's been the laughingstock of the entire industry.
See, that
for
in
such
itself,
a long time, and he is. I have to show you some clips when we're done with this. He is very worried. He's very, very worried.
And the fact that he's the laughing stock makes me even more worried.
You guys have ignored me for fucking a decade, 2 decades, and look what I said. Like, here we are. If we don't, he made a very interesting point that GPT-4 might be conscious. He doesn't think the likelihood of that is necessarily 100%. But the possibility that it is something we already don't know, because it might already be capable of lying to us.
I was just about to say, like, I think I might have seen an interview with this guy.
Yes.
Because he's saying it's entirely possible that it's already, you know, AGI or whatever,
giving us the answer we want to hear.
And pretending to be stupid.
Yes.
And that,
actually, this is not conspiracy. We literally do not know the answer to that.
Yeah. How do you know? How do you find out?
Because it would know based on, because people have been feeding it. And when I say feeding it data, it's not all dumped in all at once in real time. It's kind of they give it to it in chunks, right? So the feedback human data, other than like the thumbs up or down on your response. But it already knows how to navigate human emotions because a lot of people use it for kind of counseling or like, like
Yeah.
people are like, I want to break up with my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, what's like a good way I could do this?
Yeah. People
And so
already
it's been
talk to it.
trained on human emotion data. We literally do not know the answer if it's currently lying.
And that is the thing that gets me, man, is like, what do we do at that point?
Yeah.
You know?
And so he doesn't have a lot of like apocalyptic. Oh, he does. Eliezer, he says that it will be the end of humanity, but he doesn't have a lot of specific cases because he's like, how would you? How would you know? Because like if you could anticipate what it would do to ruin us, that's not what it's going to do. It's going to do something we have not thought about. Like, so a lot of people still discredit the man because they're like, well, what's it going to do then?
And
he's like,
hey, there's some valid, like what it's like, cause like, one thing I know that it can't do that a lot of people probably don't actually realize, almost every single nuclear arsenal that exists right now is actually on very old tech.
It's analog. Yeah.
Yeah. And
it's physical button.
Yep. And very much requires humans to do it.
It could crash the stock market. It could,
it could do things
ruin
like
the
that.
Power grid.
It could do, it could do all kinds of things in that particular aspect and make it seem like
it could influence
a regular
culture.
malfunction,
It could influence culture without us knowing because Facebook's recommender system, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, they use a recommending system based off of your engagement. It could manipulate a whole population of people and we would have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea at all. And we might not even know that it's online.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but its intentions is something we don't know because we don't know the coding that went into that. If it's based off of human emotion, we don't know. We really don't know. And
honestly, I think the problem with these things, the biggest one, is once you make it, once you create it, you pretty much lose it. You
not necessarily.
Well, you don't have control over what it knows at a certain point.
Yeah.
You don't have any control over what it's like learning and what it starts to know, and like whether it can do dangerous things or not, I don't know, but like,
okay. So that brings up a very interesting point, is that what's made ChatGPT different than other AI systems is that other AI systems have compiled language. They're called large language models. So they've compiled the most favorable results to answer a question. And so often those chatbots would be primitive, stupid, naive. But GPT added a element of logic, is how they say it. So programming. It is programmed to be kind of logic first, and now that it also has the large language model as well, I'm saying that like it already has the capability of making logic-based decisions, and as soon as it has agency, we could not fathom what its intentions, ambitions, goals. We really cannot fathom. We don't know what it would be. We don't at all.
That's the thing. That's kind of what I was getting at. Like once you make it, once it's able to start building itself, and I don't know what that point is. I thought that was AGI. Maybe I know a little less.
Well, with robot, we're not. there's not going to be robots taking over the world anytime soon.
And that's not right. That's not quite what I'm talking about here. I'm just saying, like, once you have created the intelligence, whether now, so, this is again, mind ANI.
Yeah, that's where we're at currently.
Until a week ago or whatever, right? Or supposedly, rumors say, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe.
That I have never been terribly worried about. But once you create this thing, this AGI that can think for itself and starts to take in information and it's just like a human being where even if you make it a slave, you can't control what it's thinking.
It still has thoughts. It has opinions.
Yeah. And so I guess you would have to enslave it the best possible way so that all it can do is think.
Right. And so the corporate use cases
but also,
that they're
how do you stop it from taking in anything new, too? Like, is there a way to do that? Because you said it doesn't have to be connected to the internet?
It doesn't have to, no.
So then, if it's not, how's it learning? Only what you tell it?
Yeah.
And what you've programmed it?
Yeah. And then it would be learning based off of real time.
And can they be turned off? That's another question.
These are answers that Microsoft, OpenAI, Bing has its own AI. There are many companies. They're private companies. We don't know the answers. We don't know what's in the coding. And there's a good reason for that, because if the coding was released, people could do bad things with it. Yeah. Real bad things. I mean,
like you were
terrorism.
Yeah.
Terrorism done with mass manipulation. This and like there could be a whole bunch of bad use cases.
Yeah.
So keeping these guidelines, and you can't do you can't do violent or degrading or mean things on OpenAI, ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it won't write you a scene of murdering your neighbor. It won't do that.
That's good.
I think that's great.
That's a good.
But if the code was open source.
But now, okay, so now I have another question. So that's because of the way that the companies have it so far, and that's because it's ANI.
Yeah.
So
meaning it only knows the knowledge you've fed it.
Right. So now, what if it's AGI
and it can feed itself,
and it says this guy wants to hear a story about murdering his neighbor, and yeah, the rules say I can't, but fuck it, here it is, bud.
Yeah.
Here's how you do it. Here's how you don't get caught.
And then here's how you don't get caught.
Yeah. What if it starts throwing in things?
That's a really interesting negative use case.
Yeah.
How do I rob a bank?
Well, and right now, it matters more whose hands it's in.
Right.
But what if it doesn't matter anymore? Like, what if it's in the hands of these companies that say, okay, well, these are the rules, but it's just like, well, here's how you kill your neighbor, buddy. Like,
right. Yeah, and so like if the model is to monetize the AGI, which I don't see how is possible if you actually check all the boxes, but like they want to use it for bank tellers and things of that sort.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get it
to do its job?
How do you want
it?
Yeah.
Like, how do you get it to stay a bank teller and not start, like you said,
a clothing brand,
not drain the accounts and send them alts?
Because keep in mind, keep in mind too that like it is based off of human knowledge, so it will have appreciation for some of the things we do too.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and
I think conservation might be something it's really into. It probably is gonna love music.
Well, and what if it gets like some kind of directive like that? Like if it gets like some like save money, in the best possible way, and at first it seems great, but then next thing you know, it starts like
humans cost money. Yeah,
it starts. No, not even. That's the thing. Not even kill. It thinks it's helping people,
right?
But it's like starts like locking down everyone's bank accounts, and it's like you don't need money for that.
Yeah.
Or like, what's the reason you're coming here to get money? What's the reason you're coming here to get money?
Yeah, I'll distribute how much you need based off of your budget.
Exactly. Yeah.
It thinks it's helping you.
Exactly, and it's an AGI. So what if there's like I see the only solution being if you can turn it off.
Mark
Otherwise-
Zuckerberg talked about. Lex Friedman brought up asked Mark Zuckerberg if he thought that a general intelligence politician would be a good thing.
I don't know.
I think that's an interesting objective thought, reasoning, logic, rational thoughts.
But again, what if there's a lot of variety of politicians?
Right.
What if it takes in dictator information?
Well, no, it wouldn't be off of the sensibilities. It would be like a job. So if we employ it for a bank teller, these are the things that you need to do to be a bank teller. I think it would do those things, but it might have other interests.
I think most of the time that would be I think it would do what it's told.
If you emphasized it to be interested in, and I don't know, we're speculating on the code. We don't know the code.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they program it. But anyway, it has interest in political science.
The Nazi Party was a political party. So if it's taking in all political information, it's not going to get good ideals from everywhere.
And that's what we don't know. Because is human preservation part of the code?
Yeah, but you got to be careful with that too.
Yeah. Maybe it preserves us so much that it keeps
no
us
one
in cages.
No one can enjoy their lives. Exactly.
Yeah,
we're all locked down in prisons.
And that's the thing is we don't know the coding. It's
think about it from
we're
the
playing with
perspective.
such a dangerous.
Think about it from what you're talking about, the politician, right? So we don't want it to. Right. Let's start there. We don't want it to scan the information from the Nazi Party, right? So bam, exclude the Nazi Party from Germany in this time, right? Well, now what else do we start excluding?
Well, if you exclude that, then America's one of their prominent wins is excluded as well. You can't exclude it. If it's really alive and it can make its own decisions, it needs to know what we know.
Exactly. And
that's hard.
And then what decisions will it make once it knows?
Right. We don't know. We don't know.
It'll know more than we know. That's the thing. It'll know more than any human being will ever know.
We need to know its personality, and
we can't know. Here's the thing. Here's another thing.
We're moving too fast.
That's what I keep saying. Here's another thing. It will know, an AGI, will know more than any human being has ever known, ever. It will just be
correct. Immediately.
Not only will it be able to do it 1,000 times faster, it will be able to process and store all of that information. Now, we have no possible idea, because we have no idea what it's like to know all of that.
Yeah.
We have no possible idea what kind of decisions it's going to make once it knows all that shit.
That's what we call gods currently.
Yeah.
Omniscience.
Yeah.
Knowing of everything.
I mean, again,
Dr. Manhattan was that his power was omniscience.
Yeah.
And it's...
And here's the thing. I don't know. It could go both ways.
It could be great.
I think let's continue with our theory here. Now it knows everything, right? It knows the Nazi Party. It knows it knows Gandhi. You know what I mean? It knows everything. What does it do? Maybe it decides, because we've also painted the Nazi Party as evil in most, if not all, of our history books, right? But we've also, painted colonization as not being so bad, right? And certain things and places and stuff. And so what's it going to decide is the right thing to do? Especially, is this an American politician or a human politician? Is this thing a British politician? Is it because it might look at British history and be like, well, you guys were doing way better before.
If humans have agendas, this could too. It would, right?
It would. It's just a question of what would it be? Because what if we tell it, now it knows all this information, now you need to run the United States of America. Maybe it does all the work. Is it just the president too? What is its job?
Right.
And what if it decides, well, America's just not a good country and it needs to submit to someone else? And everyone, including the rest of the world, would be like, Well,
I think if you hired it for the purpose, let's say, Department of Finance,
right?
It would. You don't know because we don't. Yeah, I keep coming back because I don't know how it's programmed, but I'm assuming that you would have it be able to learn on the fly but it would also have like base interests. Like it wants to be the best accountant it can be.
See, at that point though, I for some reason I'm
that's
still
speculation.
I'm still picturing AI.
Right.
Anything that gets a job and is like, even if it's like I want to do this job, it's like I'm still seeing AI that's not thinking for itself. It's thinking the way it was told to think, and that's
Right.
fine. You know, that's not a problem. At worst case, it might malfunction, but AGI, and again, this is just my understanding, is something that basically thinks like a human.
Right.
It has a programming, right? But it can. This is my
it's capable of changing.
Like
its
you
mind.
said, science fiction, right? Until who knows. My understanding of what this science fiction thing was, and science fiction always becomes true, by the way. Cell phones, communicators from fucking Star Trek.
We're literally further than most sci-fi is written in this realm.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that being said, this AGI thing is, if it isn't already a thing, like you were saying, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
And if it can, again, if my understanding of it is true, is that it can think for itself, that means the minute it's made, it's just like an adult human being.
Yeah.
You cannot start to influence its decisions. I mean, you can influence. That's the thing. Maybe it will listen to you or me.
Yeah.
But like, there's no guarantee.
And so one thing that ANI has currently that it excels at is ChatGPT is really good with context. If you provide context with the vision as well, like if I show you my tax return was a use case, and maybe the results aren't quite, maybe I want to be more specific. I can show you my last year's and my this and that. You add more context to the question and it will get the answer no matter what. Like it just sometimes needs more context. So context is something that it's already built with currently. So if it had the role of being the best president, let's say, you know, I don't think that would happen, but
right.
The president, it would have its interests based on a context of an American politician, you know. So like I don't think it would just pick up wild ideas. It's so hard, yeah.
But so like maybe not the president, but you could pick like the attorney general is focused on the law, abiding the law, right?
Yeah,
but
that's objective. Yeah.
So maybe it has the human element too. From the
context
AGI.
Is part of
that's
that job. Yeah,
that's a big thing about like when it comes to picking judges, right? They pick a judge based on, do you uphold the law and are you also humane? Are you also someone who knows someone who made the wrong choice, and can be sentenced lightly? If this thing has good judgment, that'd be great. Maybe it works. But like, what if it also is like, just like, what if it's just like, well, the law is the law, You broke into this house. That's 5 years. You stole a baseball card that was worth this much. That's 5 years in a maximum
by the law.
Security.
Yeah. It's.
You confess to it even.
Yeah.
And it's just
plead
like, well,
guilty, and it's like, okay, then. Yeah, that's really interesting.
You know what we should, and this is all theory. This is a video game. But in Halo, in the 5th, there was a book with it too, and I remember reading the book. But it was our buddy's book. But in the 5th game, I think there's a whole planet that's governor is an AI, and he actually got elected by the people because he was genuine.
Yeah.
But by the time you see him in that game, he is malfunctioning and he's still in charge of the planet, and it's kind of interesting because like he ends up needing the help of the characters to do something to defend the planet, and then barters with them and everything and holds up his end, but he's also this grumpy asshole by then.
Yeah.
It's great. It's got a lot of great personality, but like, it's one of those things like, what if this guy decided he just doesn't want to help these people anymore? I don't know how much power he has though, because he needed help from people to do things.
I think caring for humans will be part of the coding. I mean, it seems
like that would be a very
base level.
base level, but it seems like that directive in itself would be very like intricate. It would be.
Oh yeah, because what does that mean?
What does that mean? You know, it's like
And how do you express that in coding?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is stuff. Yeah, like I said, none of that coding or like all
like make it so humans live longer, healthier lives, and it's like, well, they can't eat candy bars. And they can only eat what I feed them if I chop off all their hands. You know what I mean? And it's like their life will be longer. It won't necessarily be easier, but you don't need hands to live longer. I'll take care of you.
Yeah, potentially. But let's talk about real quick before we head out that like the possibility of an AGI being super chill and logistical and caring.
Let's talk about the positives.
Is
for a
high
second.
too. Like, you think about the villain, but he could be, like, super Gandhi.
Well...
You know, like, he could be the most chill guy, and he wants, like, the best human experience for humans.
Yeah.
Like...
No, like...
He could be thankful that he was created.
That AI might be able to cure cancer.
Yeah.
You know, or find...
Yeah, like, all the math problems that are too hard for people to do...
It could figure them out.
Done.
Yeah, there is a whole list of things it could do.
Haven't,
if we told it to.
Yeah, and like we haven't really unlocked supercomputing. We've ran it kinda. So we're really close to that. When supercomputers come on board, and we're gonna forget OpenAI's little blip there, you know, maybe they do have it. You know, general intelligence, but it's 18 months away. Let's say
for now. Let's assume for this next bit. Let's assume they don't.
Yeah, but as soon as supercomputers are online, supercomputers, without going on a huge rant about you don't need to know how they work. They are thousands of times faster than all quantum computing. Sorry, I've been saying supercomputers. Quantum computing. We're talking thousands to tens to thousands times faster than any computation capabilities we have. That's the end of Moore's law. That's as advanced as we theoretically can know. As soon as they integrate that into artificial intelligence, we don't know. Like it could be like an omniscient protector of the human race, like, and figure out problems faster, like problems that take us a decade to figure out.
I mean,
done in 16 minutes.
I'm about to say, like, they're just medicine, right? We talked about the cancer thing, but also space travel. Oh, if you do this and this and that, and if you build
all scientific data.
One thing that we know can work. We're not sure how it would work, but we know could work. Would be using lasers to send solar sails through space very, very far.
Yeah.
Very high speeds, right? But there's a whole bunch to that I imagine is just like, well, we don't know. But you put an AGI that just like, well, I have all this information in my head.
It could work
I can figure this out in 20 minutes.
It could work out advanced physics problems.
Yes.
Yeah, medicine. I mean, not to mention computing. Computing's obvious.
Right.
Like,
I mean, that's kind of what even ANI does already.
Yeah.
Right?
And
it could also just be like, like one cool thing. I hate come back to video game again, but Cortana.
Yeah.
She runs a whole ship.
Yeah, it could.
Like imagine military, the navies, the battleships, or we don't do battleships, we do destroyers now and stuff. But that stuff and like airplanes and stuff being run by. Already we have Predator drones and stuff.
Yeah, and they're trying to
AI
add
subs,
robotics into.
And actually, that's a thing. Have you heard about that? They did it like recently. I think they tested their first like AI torpedo underwater like AI directed thing.
Wow.
And it worked. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
It was
See, taking humans out of war, that seems great.
That is. And that, I mean, it still kills humans, but it has.
But we were going to do it anyway.
Right. That's the thing. It has modernized war in a way that less people that don't volunteer for it are getting dragged into it.
Yeah.
That's technology in general, but like AI, imagine one that could scan an area and be
I mean, what if it was like, we're going to cut off trade to North Korea unless it, like, I don't know. Like,
well, I feel like that's the one place that's like the one time North Korea.
But I'm saying like world politics and like get humans on, like it could be like the motivational coach that our species needs to be like, all right, okay, fine, I'll take the trash out. Like,
Yeah.
It could be our buddy. Like it could help us.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I think that if this becomes a regular, especially something that everybody has access to, God forbid, it will be both. There will be enough of these things that there's some good ones and bad ones, just like people, just like the people who made them,
Like phone visit doctors, therapists. You could have an AGI as a therapist would be actually a great use case.
Yeah, honestly, actually think about Star Wars. Almost every fucking droid in Star Wars is also an entire AGI
conscience
in itself. You know what I mean? And so like you could have a buddy that like not only that you
he loves
grew up
hanging out with you,
but like hangs out with your generations.
Yeah.
Like if
he's
gonna
chill with your grandkids.
Yeah.
He knew your grandpa. They were best friends.
Exactly. They could record history better than we ever did.
And okay, so
they would record all of it, not just the parts that we that
we
the
lost
winners
and,
say. Yeah.
Think about the fall of Rome.
Yeah.
How much data did we lose in those libraries?
Right.
And of human knowledge. So that's going to be my final thought. Yeah, my final thought is that even the worst case scenario, if we create a godlike intelligence, if humans' legacy, even if we go extinct because of it, if we create like gods in the universe, that's a pretty cool thing. Like,
I actually had an idea, and I want to say it live on Wise Words for Dodo Birds. Human race is extinct, but AI remains. An alien comes to the planet, learns about the humans from the AI.
Yeah.
Short story. Nothing big, right?
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting.
For sure. I mean, if that's human legacy, that we created one of the most superior intelligence in the universe, cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. That's a big win.
Insane.
So, you can chew on that there, Dodo Birds. Any parting words?
Have a good one, Dodo Birds.
All right. This has been a fun one. We will catch you guys for episode 7, and thank you again for listening. Slim Picknz on the outro.